They first sent sort of a command of very tough people, which came on the boat and were quite surprised to find us very pacific, let's say. And after they sent more and more sailors, so at one moment the boat was really crowded. And it's when they started to tow us and tie the tow that they became nervous, because we succeeded in cutting the tow 3 times. So we really wanted to put it clear that we didn't accept it.
What was their attitude to that?
Well, they first reacted in a sort of a clumsy way. They wanted, they became nervous. They sort of insulted us, and they crowded together to protect the tow. And as we were still there trying to cut it again, well, they wanted to push us right into the bottom of the boat. So they dragged us, there were about three sailors on a person. And they wanted to push us, into the little holes which laid, to the bottom of the boat.
Tried to force you below.
That's right. And some members of the crew climbed on the shrouds up the mast, and some soldiers, grabbed them, and they fell on the deck. They could hurt themselves quite a lot, but luckily nobody was wounded. And at one moment, when we saw that nothing was possible, well, the skipper and another member of the crew, Colin, a New Zealander, well, they jumped in the sea and swam off, which we were quite worried about them.
How did you get them back?
Well, finally, one of the Zodiacs they used went to fetch them, and they were brought into a warship, separated from the free.
What was their intention in jumping over?
Well, their intention was to oppose themselves to the towing, and they thought that by jumping it would just embarrass much more the French Navy.
Happened then?
Well, we were asked to take our luggage, and they said they were going to put us on a plane and bring us to Papeete in the night. But of course we refused to get out of the boat, and they had to drag us, pull us out of the boat and drag us. They put us for the night in a sort of houses guarded by gendarmes and by parachutists with, machine guns.
Is that right?
Yes, quite true.
And so what happened then?
Well, first, the 3 Frenchmen were separated from us, and, well, I stayed with them because I spoke English and I didn't want to show I was French. And we didn't know what was going to happen at all. We were put on different planes. The next morning, we didn't know where we were going, and, well, 1 hour later, we found we were in the island of Hao. And at one moment, 2 representatives came, one representative of the governor of Tahiti and the representative of the French government. And they came and told to us that the French people were free on the island and free of their moves, while all the foreigners were going to be expelled. And he came later on, and he had a different proposal, and he said that the free would be given back. He didn't know when, he didn't know how, but he said that as a statement, let's say. At that moment, we were all having a hunger strike, except the pregnant woman and the engineer, which was a bit old, let's say. And we were having a hunger strike until we were all reunified together, the French people, the general, and until the boat would be free, given back to us, and until we would all be free to sail off with it.
We understand that you didn't want the frigate Otago to come to your aid. You were quite happy to play it your own way.
Well, we had lots of discussions about that point. First, I think it's first the government of New Zealand itself, which didn't much want to be involved with people's protests. And besides, well, we thought the Otago was a warship, and we didn't think that was a very good way of protesting against war, well, to send a warship.
Lalonde says he feels the voyage of the Free has been a great success. He says it's moved public opinion right round the world, but especially in France, where he says it really matters. And he goes as far as to say that he thinks the French tests won't go on much longer. I also talked to some of the other crew members of the Free still on Howe Island. They told me that the hunger strike that 6 of the 12 have been maintaining is because the French seem to want to make life as enjoyable as possible for them. And fasting is the only way they can continue the protest. But it seems to have taken a toll on the health of 3 of them who've been flown to a Tahiti hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, the average native Tahitian doesn't seem to know too much about the tests. If anything, he's far too busy making a living out of the tourists.